politics. We have a system that encourages people to conform. We have a system that if you want to be a councillor, if you want to represent your local community, you feel that you've got to join one of the established parties because otherwise you don't stand a chance of getting elected. That is the common wisdom. The parties even approach people and say, you're active in your community, why don't you join us and you can represent them. And what they don't tell you is once you've joined them, you're signed up to a whole tranche of behaviour and responsibilities to other people apart from your residents. The obvious example of this is the whipping system. Parties decide how they're going to vote on a council, and then you, as a candidate, as a councillor, are obliged to follow your party. Even if it means doing something or supporting something that isn't in the interests of your local community. There is a little get out. When you've got such a huge majority as the Conservatives have on Swale, and for that matter Kent, they play this little game. You can support your community as long as it doesn't affect the outcome. So you can still cast your vote against their policy and go back to your community and say, I stood by you. But you can only do that because they know they've got the numbers to push it through anyway. I think that is one of the most deceitful aspects of local politics. Locally, we also have a cabinet system where 7, 8, 9, the number grows down there, they are the people who have effective control. If you're a backbencher, even in the main party, you have very little influence or very opportunity to have much say in what gets done. But you're still expected to abide by that decision that they've taken and support them through the whipping system. That's actually quite a lonely, sad place to be. But it also encourages jobs for the boys. When you think there's 47 councillors at Swale, and over 20 of them are on the payroll. They're either cabinet members, deputy cabinet members, one of several deputy leaders we've got now, or they're a chairman of one of the committees, 5,500 if you're the chairman of the planning committee. This is all in the discretion of the leader of the council. So if you want one of those jobs, if you want to have a bit of influence, you keep him happy. You do what he says. Because otherwise you might not be the chairman next year. You might not be the cabinet member. So you can see how none of this has anything to do with local residents and local communities. All they've done is elect you, and for 4 years you carry on, not at their behest, but at the behest of your party leader. And then this applies to motions that are put forward. If it's not the right party putting the motion forward, you oppose it. I have lost count of the times when another councillor come up to me and said, that's a really good point. I like that idea, what you were saying. I'd like to see that happen. I said, why do you vote against it? Well, my party's opposed to it. How are we ever going to get good democratic decision making when good ideas get ignored because they haven't come from the right source? Or 6 months later they reappear in a slightly amended version because the main party's taken it for themselves. So this is why party politics really is having a negative influence on our local democracy, and the result is turnout of about 30-35%. People feel totally divorced from the local democratic system and from their local council. And I think that's where we need a strong body of independents to go forward and actually say, we're not following a whip, we're going to fight against the cabinet system, and we're going to put our own communities and the people who voted for us first. We're not going to think something is a good idea and then vote against it because it's come from the wrong party. We're not going to keep our nose clean, keep our mouth shut and hope we get that nice committee place next year. We're going to fight for our local people. Now last year, when I stood as an independent in the general election, it was one of the most inspiring and enjoyable campaigns I'd ever had. There was so much public involvement, people leafleting, contributing, spreading a message on social media. Most of them had no party political background. They were just concerned about the issue I was raising and wanted to be part of actually pushing that message, and that was that the housing plans for Swale are atrocious. But what I did find when standing as an independent is all I could have on the ballot paper was the word independent. Now in the old days you used to be able to put on the ballot paper what you were standing for. I wanted to be standing against excessive housing. But the rules changed, I think, about 2004, so all I could have was independent. That little reminder when people go to vote of what you're standing about gives them that reminder about why they might want to vote for you. So there are advantages in independents working together. If you are registered with the Electoral Commission, and you'll notice we're calling ourselves the Swale Independence Alliance, not the Swale Independence Party or anything, because it's seen as an alliance of local groups and local people who want to fight for their communities. But if we, as registered with the Electoral Commission, we're entitled to have the electoral roll. Now if you want to stand for local council, you have to get 10 people to nominate you, and you have to make sure those 10 people are on the electoral roll. But you're not entitled to an electoral roll until you have been nominated. They don't like independence, the political system. They're a bit of an aberration. If you try and start canvassing over the summer, if you want to stand next year and you start canvassing over the summer, you won't get an electoral roll because you're not entitled to it. That makes it very difficult to start building up a list of supporters, a list of people who actually want to vote for you on the day. You can't knock on my door and say, "Oh, Mr. Smith there," because you don't have the electoral roll. As part of a registered party, you get an electoral roll. You can go out and start getting the people who are going to support you involved. We'll also get support for each other. So often independents stand in elections and they put leaflets and material out. And they've got so much they want to say, you get two sides of dense A4 but nobody ever reads. Working together, we can put out leaflets representing several areas with our principles, and then the local candidate can be putting about what's in their local area they want to fight for. We can share costs, we can support each other by delivering each other's leaflets, working together. It's a less lonely field to plough when you're working with other people. Now, that doesn't mean you're compromising your principles at all. What it means is you have got somebody there to say, "I'll cover that estate next week. Have you thought about doing this?" In my area, there was an issue about something like that, and this is what we did about it. It's sharing experience, it's sharing good practice. And you get a slogan on the ballot paper giving an indication of what you're standing about. You might be standing in a rural area and think that rural communities are not getting a fair deal. You can have on the ballot paper, fighting for rural life, putting your village first. Or you might be against the housing, and you can have it against excessive housing. You can actually have on the ballot paper a trigger to the people who are voting why you want them to vote for you. And then people will call you a NIMBY. That's one of the big things. Independents get called NIMBYs. My argument is, if we all had the power to look after our own backyards, perhaps the Garden of England would look a lot greener. It's because people don't have the power to look after their own communities, but communities get taken for advantage, get built on, or get neglected. As an independent, you can stop that. You're not going to get elected and think, "Well, I'll ignore that area. They don't vote. My support comes over here." You've got to make sure you look after that area because you'll be relying on them. And the other thing about NIMBYism, my backyard's the whole world. I don't want housing in Borden. I don't want the destruction of a rainforest in South America. I don't want us to be selling arms to the Saudis. And I don't want to see the orangutans wiped out. My backyard is the whole world that we live on. So that's why I think working together we can really make a change on Swale. There's a real desire amongst people to have a change, to have things work a bit differently, to abolish the safe seat. There are some areas where it's been the same party for 50 years. Those councillors, they don't have to work in their community to get re-elected. They've got the right colour rosette, they just walk in. And you get the absurdity of somebody who lives in one end of the borough wanting to stand at the other end of the borough because it's a safe seat. All they've got to do is put a leaflet out at election time, get elected, and that's it for 4 years. You won't see them again, you won't hear from them, but they know they can go back in 4 years, get you a vote, because that is the party that always wins. That's the sort of complacency and neglect that we as independents can really challenge. Because in seats that Labour can't win, or in seats that the Tories can't win, there is no competition. We are the competition. We offer a difference to people no matter where they live. And then if we get enough, and what I would hope is we will have enough independent councillors on the next council to prevent any one party having overall control. That means we can get away with the cabinet system, return to committees and have real input from all the councillors. We could establish area committees to give the people more control of Sheppey, more control of what happens on Sheppey. People of Faversham, more control of what happens in Faversham. And the people of Sittingbourne, more control of what happens in our area. It's a lot easier for people on Sheppey, for example, to attend a meeting on Sheppey than it is to come over to Swale House. It's a way of getting people involved again, making councillors more answerable to their local residents. If you come from Faversham, you can really naff people off on the Isle of Sheppey. They ain't going to worry. They're never going to appeal to you for their vote. If it's people on Sheppey making decisions about Sheppey, they're going to listen to local people a lot more. Same in Sittingbourne, same in Faversham. We can get rid of the cabinet, establish committees, and start working cross-party. You know, you'll always hear, oh, we don't talk to them, they're the wrong party. Yeah, that's what happens in the council chamber, all the yah-boo, all the, oh, that's another ridiculous idea from that group. But behind the scenes, we have to work together. You know, on Kent County Council, we established cross-party working groups that worked really well. People can work together, but because of a party system, as soon as you get in front of the camera, as soon as you get in the council chamber, the walls go up and the missiles get thrown. So I don't think that's in the interest of local people to have all this yah-booing and all this parading and petty party politicking. Practiced that one earlier. That's not in the interests of local people. They want to see their elected representatives working together in the interests of the community. Not national parties, not national policies, local policies. And I really do think we are the only option that can make that happen. They won't work together unless they have to, and then it will just be to form a coalition, and then they will operate in exactly the same way as the previous administration had done. That's not good democracy. We can go forward with an army of independent councillors who will say, actually, we're going to listen to the arguments, listen to what people say, and if we think it's good, we'll support it. We won't say no, one party will vote against it. When I was on Kent County Council, I made a speech about supporting community groups, and that community groups and local areas knew their areas better than officers on Kent County Council. And I knew it was going to get defeated. You know, there's an amendment to the budget. And the Liberal Democrat next to me went over at the end. You made some very good points. I'm actually going to change the way I'm going to vote. And he was amazed he was actually going to change the way he was going to vote. It was that rare. It shouldn't be like that. If you get up and make a statement, or you've got a good argument you can put across, it should be taken on its merits, not on the colour of your rosette. So, and we want real consultation. Swale Borough Council recently did a consultation to see how well they communicate with the residents.
No, I didn't get that.
I don't remember seeing that.
No! There's about, I think, what, 80,000, no, more, 120,000 people in Swale?
Yeah.
17 replies. 14 of which were from organisations. I stood up and I think we've got your answer about how well you communicate, but no, they just congratulated themselves and pushed on. That is not the way to run a democracy. Consultation should be about getting ideas from people before you've made a decision. Not, here's our decision, do you like it? No? Tough. It's about, this is what we've got to do, this is what we've got to work on, what ideas have you got? What priorities are you, the people, going to put forward? And then saying, this is what is coming forward, this is the ideas that people are having, let's put a strategy together that actually encompasses as much of what people want as possible, not what we want them to want. I think that is the future of politics. I think that is the way that we can make a difference. Returning power back to local people, back to local communities, and giving them input into policies, input into who represents them, and then making sure that the people who represent them actually do represent them and don't just wear the white colour as there. So that's why we're here today.